Welcome to my channel again, 24 Ceasar Graphics. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to work on this spot poster. Spot poster is one project that I love to work on a lot, and that's what inspired this tutorial. So I'm going to be teaching you how I achieve one of my unique looking spot poster design. So if you need the exercise file for this tutorial, simply make use of the link in the description section of this video. So without any further ado, let's jump into today's tutorial. Alright, so I'm going to create a new document now. I'll click on file and I'm going to select new, and I'm going to call this SP, which is spot poster, and I'm going to make my width 720, height is going to be 900, and resolution is going to be 100. My color mode is going to be on RGB because I'm posting this on social media, and my background is going to be on transparent, or let's just make it white, and I'm going to click on the create button. All right, so if you have the exercise file for this tutorial, or if you don't have it yet, you can make use of the link on the description section of this tutorial. All right, so we need to add the halftone pattern now. So to do that, I'll go to Windows and I'm going to look for patterns here. Here it is, and I'm going to select patterns. I'm going to add my camera now, and this is it here. This is the pattern we're using. So if you don't have it, simply click on this icon here and select import patterns and locate where you have it. All right, so I'll double click here and here it is. Click on it and select the load button, and immediately you do that, you're going to see the pattern on your Photoshop pattern tab. Let's add the gradient now. So to add the gradient, I'll do the same move again by clicking on the Windows menu, and I'm going to look for gradients here, and here it is. So to add the gradients, simply click on the same icon again, or the menu icon, and I'm going to look for import gradients. Here it is. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to locate where I have the gradients. So you select it and select the load button, and you will see it as. So I'm going to hit cancel because I already have it in my Photoshop. So I'm going to hit cancel, scroll down, and so this is the gradient we're using for this tutorial. So now I'm going to close this because I don't need it. I'm going to create a new layer and call this red, and I'm going to select the OK button, and I'm going to change the color of my background to red. So I already have it here. So what I'm just going to do is to hit the X key on my keyboard. But if you don't have red on your foreground, simply click on it, and then you have your color picker on your screen, and then you can just pick red here. If you're looking at using the same type of red that I use on this tutorial, simply copy this code and insert it into your color picker color code, and then you're going to achieve the same color. So I'm going to hit the OK button to apply the color of my foreground to my red layer. I'm going to hold on Alt and hit backspace. I'm going to zoom out. All right, and the next thing I'm going to do is to drag and drop the picture of each of the players. So I'm going to drag this and drop here like so, but I'm going to scale this real big, like so. I'm position this here. All right, so for those of you that don't know, this is Rashani, so I'm going to position it here. All right, and I'm going to put this in a group. So I'm going to hit Ctrl G on my keyboard, and I'm going to add a layer mask to this, and I'm going to use my mouse to draw a marquee shape around the player. So to do that, let's just move in a little bit to this side, and I'm going to select the lasso tool. All right, so I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to select the layer mask of the Rashani group, fill the layer mask with the color of my foreground. All right, so I'm going to do that now by holding down Alt and backspace. All right, so this happened the opposite way. So we need to hit Ctrl D to take away the marquee first, and hit Ctrl I to reverse the mask. Where I have the white fill, it's going to change to black, and where I have the black is going to change to white. All right, now this is good. So the next thing I'm going to do is to drag the background. Okay, so I'm going to scale this big like so, and I'll position this here. I'm going to put this inside the same group with Rashani, and this should be here like so. Okay, and I think I still need to scale this image more. This should go down. I'm going to collapse this and I'll bring in the picture of Mbappe. So I'll drag that and drop here, and I'll make this bigger like so, and this should be here. And I'm going to make the same move again. So I'll put this in a group. You know what? Let's just, name the groups. So I'm going to copy this and name this for Mbappe. I'm going to copy it and just press like so. Yeah, this is good. So now I'm going to add a layer mask again. Just hide this. Select the lasso tool. And I'm going to draw so. All right. So I'll make the same move again by hitting Alt backspace. Okay, and I'll hit the Control D on my keyboard, or Command D for Mac users, and hit Control I to reverse the mask. I'm losing the face of Mbappe here, so we are going to make that visible. But for now, let's just put the background of Mbappe in the same group with it. So I'm going to drag this and drop here. I'll scale this big now. So I'm going to boost this up. So then I'm going to make a copy of this and move this out from the group. All right, because I want to have his face as part of the scene. So I'm going to hold on Alt and click on the thumbnail of the layer mask of Mbappe's group, and I'm going to select the rectangle marquee to hold on Shift and add to the selection. All right, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the same tool again and subtract the selection. All right, because I don't want this part of Mbappe to be part of the scene. So I'm going to hold on Alt and just drag like so. Now if I add a layer mask to this, I'm going to put this and this in a group and call this Mbappe. All right, so I'm going to drag the crowd and drop like so. So I'll scale this like so, and this should be here. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time I'm going to hide the layer because I want to be able to see the background layers. So I'm going to select the lasso tool again, and this time I'm just going to draw like so. Okay, so I'll make this visible, and I am going to click on the layer mask icon. Okay, so I need to fine tune this, so I need to add this side to the layer mask. So I'm just going to click on the layer mask thumbnail, and I'm just going to draw a marquee like so. All right, and I'm going to use white to add it. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the thumbnail of the layer mask of Mbappe's group. So I'm going to hold on Control and hit backspace to add that to the scene like so. I think I need to add this side also. So I'm just going to, okay. So I'm going to hold on Control and do the same thing again. Okay, so I'm going to stamp visible of all the layers because I want to add the adjustment filters to the project. So we can achieve this with the way we have the layers splitted, all right? Before we stamp visible these three layers, I'm going to hide these two layers, all right? So I'm going to hold down Control Shift Alt and then E to stamp visible the layer, and I'm going to put these three layers in a group, all right? So I'll call this P and C. So P for players and C for crowd. All right, so I'm going to make the background layers visible again. And actually, we don't need this, so I'm going to delete it because it's not making any, it's not doing anything there. So I'm going to call this P, C, All right, and I'm going to right click and convert this to a smart object. Okay, so the advantage of converting your layer to a smart object is I'm not sure if I'm okay with the size of the frame the way it is now. So converting it to a smart object will give me the opportunity of having the same quality when I scale up or I scale down the layer. So then I'm going to start with the black and white filter. All right, and I'm going to say I want this to affect just only this layer. So I'm going to click on this clip icon here. All right, I'm going to make sure that my red is set to 77. All right, because I want to have more highlight on the face of the players. So I'm going to make yellow 174. I'm going to add the Caesar Graphics Halftone now by clicking on the adjustment icon, and I'm going to select pattern here. I'm going to select the Caesar Graphics Halftone here, and I'm going to change this to, let's say, 21, or let's see what 12 is going to give us. I think 12 is fine, and I'm going to select the OK button. I don't want this to affect the background. I only want this to affect the layer of the players and the crowd. I'm going to mouse over the pattern layer and make sure I'm in between the pattern layer and the black and white layer. So I'm going to position my mouse here until I see the arrow facing down icon, and I'm going to click, and now you see it's only affecting the layer of the players and the crowd. So the next thing we're doing now is to blend with the pattern. All right, because I only want this to affect the mid-tone and the shadow of the layers. So then I'm going to double click on this side of the layer to bring out the layer style option, and I'm going to move from here to this side. All right, and I'm going to hold on Alt and split the slider, so this should go to this side. All right, and let's see if I move this here. I think this is fine for me. All right, so I'm going to select the OK button, and the next thing I'm going to do is to add gradient map. So I'm going to click on the gradient map icon to map the color of my gradient on the layers. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to hold on Alt and click. I'm going to click on this horizontal here to bring out the gradient editor, and I'm going to select the Caesar Graphics gradients like so, and I'm going to select the OK button. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in a group. All right, because I don't always want my my layer panel to always look busy. So I'm going to call this A, which is the adjustment filter, and P for the players, and C for the crowd. I'm going to hold down Alt and click on the new layer icon, and I'm going to call this noise. I'm going to click on the mode option here and select soft light and check the fill with soft light neutral color 50% gray option, and I'm going to select the OK button. So I'll go to filter now and select noise and select add noise. So I want my noise to a little bit much like so, and I'm going to select the OK button. So now my noise is looking too tiny for me, but I want to be able to create this texture on my background. So to do that, I'm going to zoom out, bring out the free transform on the noise layer, and scale this big like so. All right, so I'm going to make it bigger like so. Now if I zoom in, you see you can see now that I have this this thick noise on my project. All right, so it's part of the plan. So I'm going to just scale this down a bit like so. Now another thing I think I still need to do here is to add the tier of effect on my background. So I'm going to click on the red background layer and click on the new layer icon with Alt hold down, and I'm going to call this T off. All right, and I'm going to select the OK button. So I'm going to zoom in like so, and I'm going to make sure that make sure you're on the lasso tool when you're doing this. Now the movement of your mouse, all right, is what will make this look real. So don't bother about making your mouse movement perfect, because the not making it look perfect is what will make it look like the tear off effect. So then I'm going to just gently move my mouse here like so. Oops. So I'm going to gently move my mouse like so. All right. So I am going to do the same move here. So I'm going to hold down shift. Don't forget to do this. You have to hold down shift when you are adding the next, marquee selection. Because if you don't, Photoshop will deselect the first marquee that you drew. So I'm going to hold down shift now and I'm going to draw another shape like so. All right. And I'm going to hold down shift again and I'm just going to draw a big shape here like so. All right. And for the bottom part, let's just do something not too much, just something light, like so. All right, then I'm going to fill this with white. So I'm going to make sure that my color picker here is set to white. And I'll hold down Alt and hit backspace to apply, the color to the project. So then the next thing I'm going to do is to just drag my background in like so. So I'm going to drag that and drop here. All right, so I'm going to scale this down. So this here. All right, so I'll right click because I need to convert this to black and white. So we can't do that when the layer is a smart object. So I'm going to right click and select rasterize. And I'm going to hold down Ctrl Shift and U to convert it to black and white. So I'm going to double click on the layer to bring out the layer style because we need to blend it this. So we only want the shadow part of the texture on the background layer. So I'm going to move from this side. All right, now you see now we've taken out the mid-tone and the highlight from that layer and we only have the shadow like so. And I'm going to select the OK button. So I'm going to make a copy of this and I'm going to move this here, make a copy again, move this here. So what I'm going to do now is to stamp visible of all the layers again. So I'm going to hold on Control Shift Alt and E. So what I'm doing next now is to add contrast to the pixels. So to do that, I'm going to right click on the layer and convert this to a smart object. And I'll go to filter and select sharpen and select on sharp mask. So one of the advantage of converting your layer to a smart object is if I'm not really happy with the unsharp mask that I apply to the layer, I can easily go back to the unsharp filter and then adjust the unsharp mask to my preferred look. So I'm going to select the OK button because I like the fact that my amount is set to 32 and my radius is set to 1.3. Threshold is on 6. So I'm going to select the OK button. And now if I zoom out, you see we have this beautiful looking spot poster. So what I'm going to do now is to add the logo bar. So I'm going to position that here like so. Scale this up a bit. Okay. So I'm going to add the logo of Claremont Foods. I'll position that here and scale that now. It should be here. Scale it down to the same thing for Paris Saint-Germain. I'm going to scale that down and position this here like so. All right. So I think I need to put everything here in a group. So I'm going to hit Ctrl G to put them in a group. And so for me, the logo is looking too flat. So I need to, make it have this 3D look. All right. So to do that, I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to hold on Alt and create a new layer. And I'm going to call this shadow. All right. And so, okay. And I'm going to clip this inside the logo of the Claremont Food logo. So I'm going to hold on Alt and click. And I'm going to make sure that my foreground is set to black. So I'm going to switch to black here. And I'm going to select the brush tool. And I'll go to my brush settings and make sure that transfer is checked because I'm using a graphics tablet. But if you don't have a graphics tablet, simply turn down your flow to 15 or 5. You're still going to achieve the same move. All right. So the whole idea is so as to be able to control the strength of my brush. Okay. So then I'm going to just gently apply that here. Like so. Just gently apply that here. And I'm going to do the same move again. I can even, just make a copy of this and push this here and hold on Alt and just click. All right. To clip that inside the PSG logo. And I can just move this here like so. So then to bring in the text, so I'm going to start with the dates and I'm going to paste that here. All right. And I'm going to pick a color. I'm going to pick a color from the background. All right. And I'm going to close the tracking because I don't want no tracking on this. So I'm going to position this here. All right. Then I'm going to bring in the time. For those of you who are used to my spot poster, I'm sure you already know what the layout of the time and date is going to look like. So I'm going to just position this here like so. And for the stadium, I'll copy that and just paste this here. And I'm gonna make this real small, and this should be here. You know what, let's just make the logo smaller. It's looking too big, it's taking too much space, so I'm gonna scale it down. And I'm gonna move this to this side. All right. So for those of you wondering, okay, so why do we have the equation on the background of the board? The whole idea is to make it look like football is all about strategies. All right, because really, if you want to win any match, if not only in football, you have to strategize. All right, so that's the whole idea of me adding the equation to the background. Okay, so I'm going to click on this and I'm going to move this up a bit, make this real big like so, and I'm going to copy the stadium and paste that here, and this should go down like so. And I'm going to position this here. Now add tracking to this. All right, so I'm going to shift select the text. I'm going to centralize this, and I'm going to move this close to this like so. So I'm going to put this in a group. So I'm going to hit Ctrl G. All right, now call this board. All right, then I'm going to create a new layer again and call this shadow. And this should be behind the layer of the board. And I'm going to zoom in. All right, and select the brush tool, scale down my brush, and I'm going to just add shadow to the project like so. Okay, so I'm not going to make the shadow touch this part of the board, and I'm going to shift select the board and the shadow layer and bring out the free transform and just rotate this a bit like so and just position it here. All right, so this is the final project. Wow, I'm glad you made it to the end of this tutorial. If you are able to achieve anything with the help of this tutorial, simply post it on your Instagram page and remember to tag me. My Instagram handle is @CeasarGraphix. And if you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button and remember to ring the bell so you will be notified when I post my tutorials. Share, like, and comment on this video. I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.